You have been marked for a season of overflow, $10 million gain. But Archangel Michael says there are forces attempting to delay it. Open this before they succeed. My beloved child, listen closely, because what I am about to reveal carries the weight of heaven itself. Your name has been marked. Yes, marked. For a season of overflow so mighty, so unusual, so undeniably divine, that even the realms of darkness have detected its approach. $10 million gain, a supernatural financial eruption, has already been written into your destiny. And Archangel Michael, the warrior of the Most High, is stepping forward to warn you before the forces that fear your rise attempt to delay what heaven has already prepared. There is something sacred in the air around you right now. A shift, a stirring, a spiritual tremor. It's the kind that happens only when a person is being lifted from one dimension of life into another. You are not imagining it. You are not overthinking it. Archangel Michael has been stationed near your home, near your mind, near your spirit, because the blessing coming toward you is too big to arrive without resistance. And he says this clearly: there are forces attempting to slow you down, not because you are weak, but because your next season is too powerful. Pay attention, because this warning is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to position you. Everything that looks delayed in your life right now is not denial. It is a spiritual tug-of-war between heaven's release and the enemy's desperation. You are on the edge of overflow, and when heaven sees you on the edge, angels are sent to make sure you do not fall back. Archangel Michael is revealing something very specific right now. Someone or something has been draining your energy, distracting your path, pulling your focus away from the very thing that leads you into overflow. You have felt the heaviness. You have felt the strange interruptions. You have even felt moments of confusion that seem to come out of nowhere. That is not random. That is spiritual interference. But here's the part the enemy never wanted you to hear. Your overflow has not been canceled. It has not even been reduced. It has only been delayed by a thin spiritual thread, one that Archangel Michael is prepared to cut the moment you awaken to this message. There is a reason this message found you at this exact moment. It is not coincidence. Heaven does not operate on coincidence. It operates on divine alignment. Archangel Michael says, this is your awakening call. Open your spirit, because you are entering a season that will break every limitation you have ever known. Imagine standing in a field where the ground beneath you begins to crack open, not in destruction, but in abundance. Rivers of provision rushing toward your feet. Doors bursting open that were once sealed. Opportunities you didn't chase turning around to chase you. That is the season you are stepping into. Not next year. Not months from now. Now. But before this shift fully releases, Archangel Michael is giving you the one message that will protect your blessing. Guard your atmosphere. Watch your connections. Do not allow draining voices into your spirit. Because there is someone, or something, in your environment that has been functioning as a spiritual delay. The moment you disconnect from that draining force, the blessing that has been circling your name will break through instantly, like a dam collapsing under the pressure of unstoppable waters. Child of light, listen, you have been asking God, why does it feel like something big is coming but nothing has happened yet? Here is the answer whispered from the angelic realm. The blessing is ready, but the pathway was blocked. Now heaven is clearing it. Archangel Michael is holding a flaming sword, not of battle, but of breakthrough. The sword represents divine authority over your finances, your opportunities, your elevation. He is not fighting to give you victory, he is fighting because you already have it, and he is guarding the delivery. If your spirit is stirring as you hear this, it's because something inside you already knows it's true. The old season is ending. The atmosphere around your life is shifting. Signs have already been appearing. Sudden dreams, unusual numbers, unexpected inner urgency. Moments where you felt as if your spirit was being pulled forward. These were not coincidences. They were confirmations. And now you are here, listening to this, because the next part of this message will reveal what Archangel Michael says is the real source of the delay, and how heaven plans to tear it down. Hold steady, because what is about to unfold in this message will expose what has been hiding in the shadows of your path. And once you see it, you will step into the overflow that has been circling your name like a whirlwind of divine promise. Before you move on, pause your mind for a moment, because the next revelation is the key that unlocks the $10 million gain assigned to your future. You will want to hear what comes next. Type "I receive the overflow" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Lesson code 441 is now activated. Hold tight, the next moment of this message carries a twist you were never expecting. Child of awakening, something powerful is shifting around you even as you read these words. Archangel Michael stands closer than he did before, because the message entering your spirit now is not just a warning, it is a revelation that exposes the very force that has been attempting to delay your overflow. You have been marked for a season where provision pours in like a river breaking through ancient stone, where the weight of lack is lifted, where the promise of a $10 million gain becomes more than a prophecy. It becomes a path laid out beneath your feet. But every great blessing attracts great resistance, and heaven is ready to unveil what your spirit has sensed but could not yet articulate. There is a pattern in your recent days that you may not have understood. Moments where your energy suddenly dropped without explanation. Times when your motivation vanished despite your desire to move forward. A heaviness that tried to sit on your chest, especially when you were close to making progress. You thought it was exhaustion or stress or distraction. But Archangel Michael says it was none of these. It was interference from a force that saw your upcoming elevation long before you did. The moment heaven marked you for overflow, the shadows marked you for resistance. Listen carefully, because this part is not accidental. Archangel Michael reveals that someone connected to your life, either closely or indirectly, has been carrying an atmosphere that collides with your calling. This may not be a bad person. This may not even be someone aware of what is happening. But their presence or their words have been draining you. Their doubt has been weakening your confidence. Their fear has been rubbing against your spirit like sandpaper on glass. Their energy has been interfering with your frequency. Your blessing is large, and sometimes the ones around you are too small spiritually to carry the environment required for your breakthrough. You have felt this. You have sensed it. You have seen signs of it. Conversations that suddenly brought you down. Messages that shifted your mood instantly. Encounters that left you feeling spiritually tired instead of spiritually lifted. These were not normal moments. They were the signs that a spiritual delay was forming around you, fed by emotional, mental, and energetic interference. And Archangel Michael is stepping in now to expose and remove this influence before your blessing arrives. He says, you were not delayed because you were weak. You were delayed because your blessing is so large that even small interference becomes a big obstruction. There is divine timing unfolding, and heaven is ensuring that the pathway to your overflow is cleared before the weight of abundance drops into your life. A blessing as great as the one written over your destiny cannot rest on an unstable foundation. That is why the interference had to be revealed before the manifestation appeared. And now you are receiving that revelation. There is a moment coming, soon, where you will suddenly feel a release in your spirit, an unexplainable lightness. A clarity that feels like breathing clean air after being stuck in a room for too long. That moment will mark the exact second heaven disconnects you from the force that has been slowing the unfolding of your promise. Not stopping it, not canceling it, just slowing it. But that slowdown ends now. Archangel Michael is sweeping through your atmosphere like a mighty wind, breaking patterns, removing heaviness, cutting cords you didn't even know were connected to you. You will feel this shift in ways impossible to miss. The blessing marked for you is too great to be denied. This is why you have been feeling inner tension, because your spirit knows the size of what is coming even when your mind cannot grasp it. Child of promise, understand this clearly. When heaven assigns overflow, earth must adjust. When God releases abundance, the atmosphere around you must realign. When your destiny elevates, everything attached to you must either rise with you or fall away from you. That is the season you are in. You have been asking for clarity. You have been praying for answers. And Archangel Michael is giving you the imagery you need to understand this moment. He shows you standing at the entrance of a massive gate, golden, glowing, already unlocked. The gate represents your overflow. The light represents the financial and spiritual breakthrough assigned to you. But something, or someone, was standing behind you, subtly pulling you back, slowing your steps, casting a faint shadow across your path. Not enough to stop you fully, but enough to delay you. That is why this message reached you now. Because this is the moment where the shadow loses its grip. The atmosphere around your blessing is becoming clearer. The interference is weakening. The delay is dissolving. And Archangel Michael says, your spirit is being recalibrated, your path is being straightened, and your blessing is coming with multiplied force. The forces that attempted to slow you have already begun to fall back. They sensed that you were becoming aware. They sensed that heaven was stepping in. They sensed that their time of influence was ending. And now the revelation that unlocks the next layer of your overflow is approaching. What Archangel Michael needs to reveal next is something that will shift your understanding of your destiny completely. Something deeper than interference. Something more powerful than delay. Something that explains why your blessing is so enormous and why heaven is so protective of your timeline. Hold your attention carefully, because what comes next holds the blueprint for your breakthrough. Before you move on, breathe in for a moment, because the next message carries the key that finalizes heaven's release into your hands. You will want to hear it. Type "I step into my season" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 855 has just been released. Child of divine inheritance, breathe deeply for a moment, because what heaven is about to release into your understanding now carries the weight of a long-awaited breakthrough. Archangel Michael stands with a radiant intensity, and his wings, massive, luminous, commanding, are spread wide behind you. This is not just protection. This is announcement. This is declaration. This is heaven signaling that your season has shifted from waiting into unfolding. The blessing marked with your name, the overflow that has been circling your life, the financial eruption symbolized by the $10 million breakthrough, it is no longer something approaching from the distance. It is something being lowered into your life, now like a heavenly mantle descending from above. But before the full release can pour into your hands, Archangel Michael says something crucial must be understood. Your blessing is not random. It is not accidental. It is not luck. It is divine compensation. Every delay, every disappointment, every door that closed on you when you were ready to walk through it, every connection that fell apart without explanation, none of it was destruction. It was preparation. Heaven has been measuring the weight of the blessing to match the weight of the battles you had to face. What you lost was not taken from you, it was stored for you. And now the storage room of heaven is opening. This is why the blessing is so large. This is why the enemy fought your mind so fiercely. This is why distractions tried to steal your focus. This is why heaviness sat on your spirit in moments where nothing was wrong. Because the magnitude of what is being released over your life would have crushed an unprepared person. But you were shaped for this. You were stretched for this. You were refined for this. You were made ready. And now the promise is coming with a force no delays can resist. Archangel Michael reveals something remarkable now. In the realm of the Spirit, there are moments where blessings that have been approved long ago begin to glow brighter, signaling that they are nearing manifestation. Your blessing has been glowing. Heaven has been watching it intensify. Angels have been aligning timelines, clearing pathways, dissolving obstacles, and adjusting your spiritual environment. And the interference that once slowed your promise has now weakened so much that it can no longer hold you back. But there is something deeper, something heaven wants you to understand about your identity. You were not chosen for overflow because you asked for it. You were chosen because your spirit carries the capacity to multiply what heaven places in your hands. This overflow is not simply a blessing. It is a mantle of stewardship, expansion, influence, and purpose. The $10 million gain is symbolic of more than money. It represents divine authority to shift your life, your environment, your future, and even generations after you. And yet, despite the blessing's magnitude, Archangel Michael warns that your atmosphere must remain guarded. Because even though the interference has weakened, the forces that attempted to delay you are still watching. They are watching for hesitation. They are watching for fear. They are watching for doubt. They know they cannot stop what heaven has ordained, but they are searching for cracks in your confidence to slow the release. But Archangel Michael steps forward with authority and says, "The one who has been marked cannot be stopped. The one who has been chosen cannot be denied." This is why you must pay attention to your inner atmosphere now more than ever. Your thoughts are being recalibrated. Your discernment is sharpening. Your intuition is heightening. You are beginning to sense things before they happen. You are feeling shifts before they reach the natural realm. You are waking up with a strange clarity. These are not coincidences. These are signs that the spiritual realm is syncing with your earthly timeline. Archangel Michael is guiding you through this alignment because your blessing must land on a foundation of clarity, not chaos. And right now, clarity is rising within you like dawn breaking over a cold night. You are beginning to understand why certain people faded from your life, why you lost interest in certain conversations, why old cycles no longer hold power. Heaven is refining your environment so your blessing can take root without interference. Now your spirit is stepping into a new dimension. You can feel it. Something inside you knows that your life is about to shift in a direction you cannot fully comprehend yet. You may not see the full picture, but your spirit senses that something monumental is unfolding. This is heaven placing you at the door of your overflow, aligning you with the season where doors open effortlessly, where money flows unexpectedly, where opportunities appear without human explanation. You are approaching the moment where the next revelation will reveal why this blessing is so large and how heaven plans to secure it in your life. What comes next is not just insight. It is strategy. Strategy for breakthrough. Strategy for protection. Strategy for entering your overflow without losing it. Hold steady because the next message will unlock the clarity you need to receive everything heaven has prepared. Before we continue, lift your spirit for a moment, because this next phase of the message carries divine fire. This is exactly where things become extraordinary. If this has touched your spirit, type "I am ready for my overflow" in the comments. Blessing code 1444 has just been released. And beloved, before you move forward, make sure you like, share, comment, and help this message reach more hearts. Subscribe if you want to stay aligned with every divine revelation released here. Your engagement helps this prophetic mission break through the noise. As this message flows into your heart, let me speak to you with sacred clarity, just as you are marked for overflow. This channel is marked to awaken souls all across the world. Every time you stand with this mission, you help light travel further into places darkness has tried to rule. The scripture declares that those who sow into God's work reap a multiplied harvest, and today that promise is breathing over you. I feel led to say this directly: your support is not just giving. This is alignment with heaven's movement. Archangel Michael is clearing paths, and your seed becomes part of that divine push against delay. If the Spirit leads you, activate your blessing by using Super Thanks, joining the membership, or releasing your offering through PayPal. The link is in the video description. And as you obey, may the heavens open over your home, your finances, and your destiny with unstoppable glory. Step into this moment now. Chosen soul, lean in now, for the atmosphere around you is shifting again. Archangel Michael stands firmly at your right, and there is a stillness in the spiritual realm that always appears before a great unveiling. You are entering the portion of this message where heaven begins to show you not only what is coming, but why you were chosen for it, and why the blessing could never go to anyone else. You are not listening by accident. You are not here by coincidence. You were drawn into this moment because your spirit is ready to receive truth that has been hidden until now. Archangel Michael speaks, and his voice carries the resonance of divine authority. The overflow assigned to you was not created when you prayed for it. It was written long before you were born. This is why your path has felt different from others. This is why certain things were harder for you. This is why you carried weight that other people seemed unaffected by. You were never walking an ordinary path, because an ordinary path could never lead to the extraordinary elevation that has been destined for you. You have been shaped for this blessing through the valleys you walked, the storms you survived, and the moments you thought would break you but instead refined you. Every closed door sharpened your discernment. Every delayed opportunity strengthened your patience. Every disappointment taught you to anchor your trust in something greater than human logic. And now heaven says, you are no longer being prepared. You are qualified. The $10 million overflow is not a reward. It is an inheritance. And inheritances are not earned. They are claimed. But Archangel Michael wants you to understand something deeper, a truth hidden beneath the surface of everything happening right now. The forces that attempted to delay you were not just trying to block money. They were trying to block motion. They were trying to stop the version of you that emerges once overflow enters your life. Because the version of you that rises after this blessing is bold, confident, elevated, spiritually awakened, unstoppable. And when you step into that version of yourself, you become untouchable in realms where the enemy once felt comfortable stealing from you. This is why the delays were emotional. They were mental. They targeted your confidence. They targeted your fire. They targeted your worthiness. Because the moment you recognize who you truly are, everything that once hindered you loses its power. Archangel Michael has been warring not simply for your blessing, but for your awareness. Because once you know your authority, heaven's abundance flows to you without resistance. He reveals now that there has been an unseen battle over your timeline, not because you were weak, but because your rise affects more than just you. There are people connected to your destiny who will be impacted by your overflow. Families will shift. Generational cycles will break. Opportunities will multiply for those who once had none. The blessing coming to you is not small. It ripples. It spreads. It transforms. It elevates everything it touches. And this is why the enemy tried to slow your steps, because once you rise, the ripple cannot be stopped. Archangel Michael shows you an image now, your spirit standing before a massive gate made of light. Behind the gate, rivers of abundance, resources, opportunities, favor, and divine connections flow like a waterfall. The gate is not locked, is not sealed. It is simply waiting for your awareness to align with heaven's timing. And Archangel Michael says, the gate opens when your spirit realizes it has the authority to walk through. That moment is now. The interference that once clouded your judgment is lifting. The fog around your purpose is clearing. The heaviness you felt is dissolving. And heaven is preparing you to step through the gate with confidence and certainty. But before you enter, Archangel Michael wants you to recognize one more thing. The weight of your blessing is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to elevate you. This overflow is not coming to add pressure to your life. It is coming to remove pressure. It is coming to lift burdens you have carried alone for too long. It is coming to restore years that were stolen. It is coming to provide freedom in areas where you once felt trapped. And as this blessing pours into your life, it will not feel like stress. It will feel like release, like breath, like relief, like divine alignment settling into place. And yet, as powerful as this blessing is, heaven wants you prepared for the moment it arrives. This next phase of the message will reveal the spiritual instruction, the divine strategy, that will ensure your overflow not only reaches you, but remains in your life permanently. Because the truth is this: receiving abundance is one thing, holding abundance is another. And heaven intends for you to hold this blessing, multiply it, and carry it into future generations. But before that strategy is revealed, feel this truth sinking into your spirit. Nothing can delay you now. The atmosphere has shifted. The interference has weakened. The angelic realm is active. Your spirit is awakening. Your path is clearing. And the blessing marked with your name is drawing closer with every breath you take. Hold your attention, because the next part of this message will unveil the exact steps heaven needs you to understand before the gate fully opens. This is where revelation becomes instruction. If this resonates with your spirit, type "I walk through the gate" in the comments. Blessing code 1010 has now been released. Beloved one of rising authority, quiet your mind now, because what Archangel Michael is revealing in this moment carries the depth of transformation that your spirit has been waiting for. You are stepping into a dimension of clarity where the spiritual realm is no longer distant, no longer symbolic, no longer mysterious. It is becoming visible to you, tangible, understandable. And this matters because the blessing coming toward your life is not a small shift. It is a massive spiritual transaction. A mantle, a release, a divine wealth assignment that requires your inner eyes to be fully open. Archangel Michael positions himself before you, and there is a glow around him that intensifies with every passing moment. He says, the blessing marked for you is not approaching, it is converging. And convergence happens when heaven and earth align around your destiny. This means everything you have experienced in recent weeks, your sudden moments of reflection, your emotional sensitivity, your heightened instincts, even the unusual dreams, were not random. They were signs of convergence, signs that heaven has been pulling your timeline, your thoughts, your spiritual posture, and your internal readiness into alignment. Now, understand this clearly. Manifestation is not a single event. It is a spiritual buildup, a point where divine pressure becomes so strong that breakthrough must happen in the natural realm, and your life is reaching that pressure point. That is why the interference attacked you when it did. That is why heaviness tried to settle on you. That is why old patterns attempted to resurface. Because the closer you get to breakthrough, the louder the resistance becomes. But Archangel Michael declares, the resistance has failed. The interference has been broken. The path is clearing in front of you. You are entering a moment of spiritual empowerment where you begin to understand why your blessing is so vast, why heaven has guarded your name with such fierce protection, why angels have stood watch over you even when you didn't realize it. The truth is this: your destiny carries impact, not just for you, but for every life connected to you. Your overflow carries healing for your family. It carries opportunities for future generations. It carries restoration for losses you endured in silence. And it carries influence in places where your voice will matter in ways you do not yet see. But Archangel Michael wants you to understand something that few ever realize. Before a blessing of great magnitude arrives, heaven always ensures the vessel is prepared. That preparation is not punishment. It is protection. Heaven had been refining you, shaping you, softening certain edges while strengthening others. You have been positioned so that when this blessing lands, it will not slip through your hands. You will not squander it. You will not fear it. You will not question it. Instead, you will step into it with certainty, knowing it was always meant for you. And now, Archangel Michael leans closer in the spiritual realm, and he reveals something profound. What you have called delay was actually divine timing. What you thought was stagnation was spiritual alignment. There are blessings that arrive instantly, and there are blessings that require spiritual maturity to hold. Your blessing falls into the second category because of its weight, because of its scale, because of its generational impact. The forces that attempted to delay you were never powerful enough to take the blessing from you. They only created clouds around your vision. They attempted to create confusion so you would doubt your worthiness. They attempted to create emotional exhaustion so you would lose your momentum. They attempted to create distraction so you would overlook signs heaven was sending you. But those forces underestimated something. They underestimated your resilience. They underestimated your spirit. They underestimated the divine protection that covered you. And they underestimated the presence of Archangel Michael standing guard over your timeline. Now, hear this clearly. Nothing stands between you and the blessing now. Nothing is blocking the release. The spiritual contract has already been signed. The angelic movement is already in motion. The blessing has already shifted from the realm of promise to the realm of manifestation. You are living in the space between becoming aware and beginning to receive. That space is holy. That space is powerful. That space is where transformation accelerates. Archangel Michael shows you another vision, one of you holding a key of light. The key represents the authority heaven has given you to unlock destiny, purpose, wealth, and spiritual abundance. You are not waiting for permission anymore. You are not waiting for someone to validate you. You are not waiting for signs to appear. You are stepping into identity. And identity unlocks doors faster than prayer alone. This key is symbolic of something greater. Your blessing answers to your identity, not your situation. As soon as you align with who heaven says you are, the abundance written for you begins to move. And Archangel Michael declares that your spirit has now reached alignment. This is why the next phase of this message is vital. Because now that your blessing is in motion, Heaven needs you to understand what your spirit must carry during this transition. There is a posture of expectancy, a posture of authority, a posture of inner clarity, and the next message will reveal that posture with precision. Child of divine purpose, stay connected now. This is where the breakthrough becomes visible. This is where the gate begins to open. This is where heaven's timing meets your readiness. Before you move on, hold your heart steady, because the next message will unveil the spiritual ritual that locks this blessing into your reality. If this has stirred your spirit, type "I hold the key of light" in the comments. Blessing code 3030 has now been released. Bearer of divine acceleration, still your thoughts for a moment, because as you step into this next revelation, the spiritual air around you thickens. There is a weight, a depth, a sacred heaviness that always accompanies truth delivered at the perfect moment. Archangel Michael stands not beside you now, but behind you, as if positioning himself to push you forward into the next dimension of your destiny. The blessing you are approaching is no longer whispering from afar. It is echoing through the corridors of your future, announcing its arrival long before it touches your hands. And today, heaven wants you to understand the realm you are stepping into. You must hear this clearly. Manifestation is not simply about receiving something. It is about becoming someone. Heaven hath been transforming you into the vessel capable of carrying abundance without fear, without sabotage, without shrinking yourself, and without letting doubt erode what is meant for you. There is a version of you emerging now, stronger, clearer, spiritually sharpened, who understands that divine overflow does not come to overwhelm, but to reposition. And Archangel Michael says, your repositioning has already begun. In recent days, you may have felt unusual shifts in your spirit, sharp moments of clarity that came without warning, a sudden urge to distance yourself from certain conversations or environments, a deep awareness that your time is being redirected. These shifts were not mood changes. They were spiritual signals. Heaven was trimming away what could not travel with you into this next phase of expansion. And though you may not have understood it then, you are beginning to understand it now. Your spirit is responding to your rising destiny. Archangel Michael reveals something essential. Every major blessing has an atmosphere. And before that blessing appears in your physical world, its atmosphere arrives first. That atmosphere brings a sense of urgency, a sense of alignment, a sense of preparation. You begin to feel like something is about to happen, even if you cannot explain why. You begin to feel drawn inward, as if heaven is pulling you to reflect, reset, and realign. This is not anxiety. It is spiritual anticipation. And you have been feeling it because the blessing mark for you is now extremely close. Heaven hath been arranging people, opportunities, and open pathways in ways you cannot yet see. In the unseen realm, angels have been shifting outcomes, adjusting timelines, and creating divine intersections that will soon unfold in your favor. Archangel Michael says, nothing about your future is accidental. Nothing is random. Everything is being aligned deliberately. Your blessing is not coming from one direction. It is coming from multiple. It is not coming by effort alone. It is coming through divine orchestration. But here is a truth many never understand. When blessings of great magnitude arrive, they change the posture of your life. They change the way you walk, the way you think, the way you speak, the way you perceive yourself. And heaven wants you to walk into your overflow with the posture of someone who knows they are chosen, not someone who merely hopes to be. Archangel Michael shows you a powerful image. You are standing on a bridge of light, suspended between two realms. Behind you is everything you survived. Before you is everything you are about to inherit. The bridge represents transition, the sacred middle ground where identity transforms. And you are standing on that bridge now. You are not who you were, and you are not yet who you will fully become. But you are crossing. You are moving. You are being elevated with every step. The forces that attempted to delay you sensed this transition long before you did. They sensed the glow of your blessing. They sensed the shifting of your atmosphere. They sensed the rise of your spiritual authority. And that is why they fought your mind, your energy, your clarity, and your emotional stability. They were not fighting who you were, they were fighting who you were becoming. But their interference has already weakened, and nothing stands between you and the next stage of your breakthrough. Archangel Michael speaks now with a tone that carries finality. You will not be dragged backward again. You will not fall into old cycles again. You will not be spiritually dimmed again. You are stepping into a version of yourself that cannot be delayed, cannot be held down, cannot be distracted out of destiny. That is why this message found you at this exact timing. Heaven wanted to confirm what your spirit has already begun to sense, that your next level is not approaching, it has already started. Your energy is recalibrating. Your inner strength is growing. Your discernment is sharpening. Your divine instincts are awakening. And this is not temporary. This is not fleeting. This is not a momentary spiritual high. This is transformation. Permanent transformation. Heaven has activated something in you that cannot be undone. Now Archangel Michael prepares you for the next revelation. He says, before abundance manifests physically, you must understand the spiritual laws that govern it. Because overflow is not only released, it is attracted, it is sustained, is increased. And the next message will reveal the spiritual posture, the divine principle, and the internal alignment required to hold and multiply the blessing on its way. But for now, breathe deeply and let this truth settle. You are crossing the bridge. You are stepping into your divine inheritance. You are rising into the realm where delays break, clarity increases, doors open by command, and overflow becomes natural. Before you turn the page in your spirit, prepare yourself. The revelation ahead carries the blueprint for maintaining and expanding the blessing written in heaven's scrolls about your life. If this is awakening something inside you, type "I'm stepping into divine alignment" in the comments. Lesson code 747 has now been released. Child of unfolding greatness, let your heart settle into stillness for a moment, because the message entering your spirit now is one that many people live entire lifetimes without ever receiving. Archangel Michael steps forward again, but this time his presence carries something new, an authority that feels heavier, deeper, more absolute than before. This is not the authority of battle. This is the authority of confirmation. You are crossing into a realm where heaven is no longer dropping hints. Heaven is speaking plainly, directly, unmistakably. And the truth, being revealed now, will shape the way you walk into your overflow. Archangel Michael begins by saying, the blessing assigned to you has always been yours, but your spirit needed to grow into the version of yourself capable of holding it. That one sentence carries an entire universe of meaning. Your blessing was never delayed because heaven was unsure. It was delayed because heaven needed you to be sure. Sure of your identity. Sure of your authority. Sure of your worthiness. Sure of your ability to walk in abundance without fear, without shrinking, without self-sabotage. You had to grow into the person who could carry the weight of what has been written for you. Quietly, gently, but with a measured intensity, Archangel Michael reveals that your spirit has reached that point of readiness. You are no longer the person who doubted every opportunity. You are no longer the person who questioned whether you deserved good things. You are no longer the person who second-guessed divine favor. You have walked through too much fire, survived too many storms, healed from wounds that would have destroyed weaker souls, and risen from moments where you almost gave up. That rise was not accidental. It was preparation. And now heaven says you are ready. But what makes this moment so significant is that your readiness is not emotional. It is spiritual. You are learning to recognize the language of the unseen. You can feel when God is shifting things. You have begun to sense angelic activity. You have noticed moments where time feels different, where your awareness sharpens, where your intuition speaks louder than your logical mind. These are not random occurrences. These are signs of spiritual sensitivity awakening within you. They are the internal confirmation that you are stepping into the next dimension of your calling. Archangel Michael shows you a vision now, an image of you standing in a vast open field, with the sky above you swirling in colors of gold, silver, and deep indigo. In your hands, you hold something glowing, something shaped like a scroll made of light. The scroll represents your divine assignment, the written promises, the preordained blessings that were crafted for you before you ever took your first breath. As you hold the scroll, it unrolls by itself, revealing lines and lines of spiritual text, your destiny, your purpose, your breakthroughs, your opportunities, your overflow. This is not symbolic. This is literal in the realm of the Spirit. Heaven has documented your journey and has sealed your blessing as released. But Archangel Michael wants you to understand a deeper truth. He says, the scroll opens when the Spirit awakens, which means your readiness is the very trigger heaven needed to unlock what has been held for you. Your awakening with the key. Your growth with the magnet. Your transformation was the doorway. And now that doorway stands wide open. Still, Archangel Michael brings forth a warning, not one meant to fear you, but one meant to empower you. He says that in moments of great elevation, the forces that once tried to delay you attempt one final tactic: distraction. Not destruction. Distraction. They attempt to pull your attention away from the spiritual posture you need to maintain. They attempt to lure you into old emotional patterns. They attempt to bring noise into your mind so you miss the quiet instructions heaven is whispering. But their attempts will fail because your spirit is more alert now than it has ever been. Your awareness has become a shield. Your clarity has become armor. Your spiritual sensitivity has become a weapon. You can now sense when something is off. You can now feel when someone's energy pulls you down. You can now recognize when God is telling you to pause, when He's telling you to move, when He's telling you to release something or someone. This is spiritual maturity, and it is one of the reasons heaven is releasing overflow at this time. You will no longer misuse your blessing. You will no longer place it in the wrong hands. You will no longer waste it on people who cannot walk with you. You are ready. Archangel Michael then gives you a powerful revelation. Overflow comes to those whose spirit can sustain it. And your spirit, through every struggle, every heartbreak, every moment of confusion, every battle fought in silence, has developed the capacity to sustain abundance. This is why the blessing coming to you is not small. Heaven is not giving you a trickle. Heaven is giving you a flood. Heaven is giving you more than you dreamed because you endured more than you admitted. Heaven is giving you more than you asked for because you gave more than you received. Heaven is giving you more than you expected because your faith held steady when your circumstances did not. Now, Archangel Michael tells you that the next revelation will unveil the first spiritual law you must embody to walk into your overflow with full authority. This law governs manifestation, acceleration, and spiritual wealth. And once you understand it, nothing, absolutely nothing, will be able to slow you down again. Prepare yourself, child of destiny. You are stepping into the part of this message where heaven begins equipping you directly. If this has touched you deeply, type "I am ready for divine instruction" in the comments. Blessing code 9292 has now been released. Beloved carrier of the divine mantle, take a breath and steady your spirit, because this is the moment where heaven begins to instruct you, not merely reveal to you. Archangel Michael stands in front of you with a presence so radiant, so overwhelmingly powerful, that the very atmosphere of your life is beginning to vibrate. You are stepping into the core of your awakening now, the part where understanding transforms into alignment, and alignment transforms into manifestation. You have walked through the warnings. You have walked through the revelations. Now you are stepping into the laws that govern overflow itself. Archangel Michael raises his hand, and suddenly the spiritual realm becomes silent. That silence is not emptiness. It is reverence. It is the stillness that always appears before heaven delivers something sacred, something only given to those who are truly ready. And he says, the first law of overflow is this: what you hold in your spirit becomes what heaven places in your hands. That means your internal posture is not optional, it is foundational. Overflow does not begin with circumstances. It begins with identity. It begins with belief. It begins with the way you perceive yourself in the spiritual realm. This is why heaven spent so much time refining you. You could not step into overflow if you saw yourself as unworthy. You could not step into abundance if you believed your past pain defined your future potential. You could not receive divine wealth if you saw yourself as someone who could be easily discarded, ignored, or overlooked. So heaven stripped away those old identities, piece by piece, season by season, challenge by challenge. Not to punish you, but to reveal you. To bring forth the real you. The you heaven always intended. The you who can stand tall under the weight of divine inheritance. Archangel Michael reveals that identity is the seed of overflow. Your belief becomes your magnet. Your spiritual confidence becomes your doorway. Your internal certainty becomes the command that the universe must respond to. This is not mere thought. This is spiritual law. This is the architecture of manifestation. And now, your spirit is finally aligned with it. But he continues, saying, the second law of overflow is this: elevation requires separation. Some connections cannot travel with you into your next level because their presence dilutes your spiritual frequency. There are people whose energy would suffocate your blessing. There are environments that would choke your growth. There are patterns, habits, and thought cycles that cannot coexist with the wealth heaven is releasing to you. And so, heaven had to separate you, slowly, quietly, intentionally. Every distancing, every ending, every sudden shift in your relationships was not rejection. It was protection. You may have felt lonely during that period, as if you were standing in a space that nobody understood. But Archangel Michael says that loneliness was actually the construction phase of your spiritual foundation. Heaven was clearing the noise from your life so you could hear God clearly. Heaven was removing distractions so you could receive instruction. Heaven was lifting you out of old vibrations so your new level could find you. And now that separation has done its work, overflow can flow without interference. Archangel Michael now leans in, speaking with clarity and authority. The third law of overflow is that divine wealth is attracted to divine order. This means your spirit must be aligned. Your intention must be aligned. Your energy must be aligned. Your environment must be aligned. And heaven is bringing that order into your life now. You will notice in the coming days that your thoughts become sharper. Your decisions become clearer. Your intuition becomes stronger. You begin to feel when something is right and when something is wrong, when something is aligned and when something is off. This clarity is not just intuition. It is angelic guidance. Heaven has already begun organizing the next steps of your journey. Your blessing is not approaching randomly. It is being escorted. It is being ushered. Angels are preparing doors for you to walk through, connections for you to encounter, opportunities for you to accept. And Archangel Michael says, you will not miss what is meant for you. You will not overlook what has been assigned to you. You will not walk past your blessing unknowingly. Heaven will make sure that everything meant for you finds you. What is unfolding now is not simply spiritual awareness. It is divine timing. You have stepped into the moment where your destiny begins to accelerate. It may feel subtle at first, a shift in your mood, an idea that lights up your mind, a sudden burst of motivation, a sense of expectation rising for no logical reason. These are not coincidences. These are spiritual indicators that the blessing has begun moving in the natural realm. Archangel Michael reveals a final truth before the next transition. Overflow is not something you chase. It is something you attract by becoming who heaven says you are. And you are becoming that person now. You are rising into your authority. You are shedding old fears. You are stepping into purpose. You are aligning with abundance. And because of that alignment, the $10 million blessing is no longer a prophecy. It is a process already unfolding. Child of divine elevation, hold steady. The next revelation will unveil the spiritual instructions heaven needs you to follow in the coming days. These instructions will position you to receive without resistance and walk into overflow without delay. If this spoke to your spirit, type I align with heaven's order in the comments. Blessing code 611 has now been released. And before you continue, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your engagement pushes this prophetic message into more homes, more hearts, and more destinies that need awakening. As this revelation settles in your spirit, let me speak with holy conviction. The same forces that tried to delay your blessing are the same forces that try to silence the light spreading through messages like this. When you support this mission, you are helping heaven's voice drown out the noise of the world. Scripture says that those who sow into divine work open the windows of heaven over their own lives, and today that promise is alive over you. I feel led to say this. Your support is not just generosity. It is spiritual warfare. It strengthens the very stream that strengthens you. If the Spirit is nudging you, stand with this mission through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description. And may every seed you release return to you with multiplied breakthrough and unshakable overflow. This is your moment to act with faith, not hesitation. Chosen vessel of divine expansion, slow your breathing for a moment and let your spirit fully open, because what you are about to receive carries the depth of a message that is not given to everyone. Archangel Michael stands before you again, but this time there is an undeniable shift in his posture. His wings are not simply extended, they are curved inward, creating a spiritual chamber around you, a protected sanctuary where distractions cannot enter and doubt cannot cling. This is the sacred place where heaven pours out instruction reserved only for those marked for extraordinary destiny. You have crossed through revelation, warning, alignment, and awakening. Now you are stepping into refinement, where heaven begins crafting you into the person who not only receives overflow but understands how to wield it. The $10 million blessing attached to your life is not just financial. It is spiritual authority. It is responsibility. It is elevation. And Archangel Michael says, overflowed is not just wealth, it is identity rising to meet purpose. Feel this deeply. You are not being increased for the sake of increase. You are being elevated because your voice, your presence, your journey carries something heaven needs to release into the earth. You have been chosen because there are doors your name is meant to open, people your life is meant to touch, generational cycles your existence is meant to break. You are stepping into divine placement, where heaven positions you in places you never expected to stand. Archangel Michael begins to reveal a key truth now. He says, every person marked for overflow must undergo the refinement of intention. Heaven does not bless out of impulse. Heaven blesses according to alignment. And your intentions, your motives, your desires, your inner drivers have undergone a transformation that only heaven could orchestrate. You are no longer desiring elevation for validation. You are no longer seeking breakthrough because of desperation. You are no longer longing for abundance to prove anything. Your desire has become pure. Your intentions have aligned with destiny. And that is why the blessing is now being released without restriction. But Archangel Michael brings forth a deeper revelation. Overflow does not activate until gratitude stabilizes the heart. This is not superficial gratitude. This is not polite gratitude. This is not the gratitude of saying thank you because it is expected. This is the gratitude that breathes, the gratitude that transforms, the gratitude that flows from a place of understanding that everything you receive comes with divine purpose. Gratitude is one of the highest spiritual frequencies, and it creates a field around you that attracts more of what heaven wants to release. This is why, in moments when you felt empty, heaven taught you how to find gratitude in stillness. When circumstances were silent, heaven taught you to be thankful even without signs. When nothing seemed to change, heaven taught you to say, I trust, even without evidence. That trust, those whispers of faith, became the atmosphere in which your blessing could take root. Archangel Michael reveals something stunning now. You have reached the place where gratitude and expectation have finally aligned. This alignment is rare. This alignment is powerful. Most people hope without trusting. Others trust without expecting. But you have reached the point where your faith expects, and your expectation believes. This is why the blessing is no longer circling, is descending. Heaven has been watching you closely in this season. Moments where you chose peace instead of argument. Moments where you walked away from confusion. Moments where you protected your energy. Moments where you honored your intuition. These decisions were not small, they were spiritual confirmations. They were signals to heaven that you were ready to hold the kind of abundance that does not just change a season, but changes an entire life. Now Archangel Michael reveals another layer of truth. Overflow flows to those who have learned to guard their gates. Your gates are spiritual. They include your thoughts, your emotions, your connections, your conversations, your attention. And lately, your spirit has become more selective, more discerning. You no longer tolerate low-frequency environments. You no longer allow chaotic voices into your mind. You no longer give energy to situations that drain you. This is spiritual gatekeeping, and it is one of the highest indicators of readiness for divine elevation. Archangel Michael shows you a symbolic vision, you standing at the entrance of a massive gate made of burning gold. Behind the gate is a land overflowing with provision, opportunity, acceleration, and resources. The land is not empty, it is fertile. It grows whatever is planted in it at supernatural speed. The gate represents access. And Archangel Michael says, this is the land you are about to enter, but you can only enter it with a guarded spirit. The forces that once tried to delay you know they cannot block you now. So their final tactic is subtlety, an attempt to distract you, not derail you, to drain you, not defeat you. to wear you down just enough that your spiritual alignment wavers. But Archangel Michael has come to make sure that does not happen. He is clearing your atmosphere. He is strengthening your inner gate. He is sharpening your discernment. And now he reveals the next divine instruction. Protect your peace in this season more aggressively than you protect anything else. Peace is not passive. Peace is power. Peace is the atmosphere where overflow manifests easily. Peace is the spiritual incubator in which divine blessings grow. And as your season of overflow approaches, peace becomes your strongest shield. But hear this. The next revelation will unveil the spiritual law that activates unstoppable momentum. This is the law that transforms blessing into breakthrough and breakthrough into multiplication. Before moving forward, let this truth settle. You are standing at the threshold of divine transformation. Nothing can delay you now. Nothing can disrupt your alignment. Nothing can intercept what heaven has authorized. If this message resonates with your spirit, type "I guard my gates with fire" in the comments. Blessing code 1818 has now been released. Beloved child of ascending destiny, steady your spirit now, for you are entering one of the deepest and most spiritually charged portions of this entire message. Archangel Michael has stepped even closer to you, and there is a profound intensity in the air around this revelation. An intensity that only appears when heaven is preparing to activate something irreversible in your life. You are not simply listening to words. You are standing in the presence of divine instruction. What your spirit receives here will determine the flow, the speed, and the magnitude of the overflow that has been written with your name engraved upon it. Archangel Michael begins with a truth that shakes the atmosphere around your soul. Momentum is created in the spirit before it appears in your life. Most people wait for signs before they believe. They wait for evidence before they move. They wait for manifestation before they prepare. But heaven works in reverse. Faith generates movement, movement generates momentum, and momentum generates manifestation. This is the divine sequence. And you, child of purpose, are entering the part of your journey where momentum becomes unstoppable. Your entire spirit has been shifting into a higher frequency without you consciously realizing it. The thoughts you have been thinking lately, the clarity you have been feeling, the intuition that has been growing sharper. These are not random developments. Heaven has been elevating your internal rhythm so that your external world can catch up. You are not receiving overflow because you asked for it. You are receiving overflow because your frequency now matches it. And heaven responds to alignment far more quickly than it responds to request. But Archangel Michael reveals the next spiritual law with a voice so firm it vibrates through your entire being. What you speak becomes what you authorize. This is the spiritual law of verbal agreement. Every blessing you are meant to receive looks for the language of acceptance. Every breakthrough looks for the frequency of declaration. Every new level looks for the voice that says, "Yes, I am ready." Your words are not merely expressions, they are contracts. Think back on the moments where you decided to speak positively even when circumstances did not justify it. Think of the times when you chose to speak faith instead of fear. Think of the days when you whispered something good is coming, even while your life felt stuck. Those declarations were not empty. They were seeds. They were spiritual authorization. They were your way of giving heaven permission to release what was already destined for you. Archangel Michael says, your blessing is responding to your voice. This means every time you declare alignment, breakthrough, overflow, clarity, heaven moves. Angels respond. Energy shifts. Pathways open. You have been speaking into your future without even realizing how closely heaven has been listening. And now, your declarations have reached their fullness. They have reached the point where spiritual law requires heaven to release what has been stored. Archangel Michael then reveals another profound truth. Momentum grows in silence. This is why your life has felt quieter lately. People have fallen away. Distractions have dissolved. Conversations that once mattered suddenly feel empty. You have been pulled inward, not to isolate you, but to accelerate you. Silence is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of preparation. Heaven often hides you right before it reveals you, and your hiding period is ending. You may have felt a strange inner restlessness recently, an unexplainable urgency, a sense that something is shifting, an intuition that change is approaching. You may not have been able to place the feeling, but you felt it nevertheless. That spiritual restlessness is proof that momentum has already begun. You are not waiting for breakthrough. Breakthrough is waiting for you to recognize the momentum already moving onto your feet. Archangel Michael shows you a vision to explain this. You are standing at the bottom of a hill, but the ground beneath you is humming like a living heartbeat. With each step you take, your environment shifts upward, not because you are climbing, but because heaven is lifting the ground to meet your feet. That is momentum. Heaven rising to carry you upward at a pace you cannot produce through effort alone. You are being elevated, not by strength, but by divine acceleration. But momentum also requires one thing from you: agreement. Not agreement with fear, not agreement with the past, not agreement with self-doubt, agreement with destiny, agreement with identity, agreement with heaven's vision for your life. And that agreement must be held consistently, even when you feel nothing, even when you see nothing, even when you hear nothing. Because spiritual law states that consistency and belief multiplies momentum. And now, Archangel Michael reveals the next divine instruction. Do not shrink in this season. Expand. This means expand your thinking. Expand your expectations. Expand your imagination. Expand your belief in what is possible. Your blessing is too large to fit inside a small mindset. Heaven wants you thinking on the level of your future, not the level of your past. Your spirit must stretch to the size of the blessing descending upon your life. You are being positioned for encounters, opportunities, and financial breakthroughs that require a new level of internal spaciousness. Old limitations cannot survive in the atmosphere of your new elevation. Old fears cannot survive the frequency of your next season. Old patterns cannot exist in a spirit preparing to carry divine wealth. You are being expanded so you can receive without resistance. And as Archangel Michael prepares to unveil the next revelation, he says something so powerful it pierces through every layer of your being. You are no longer in preparation. You are in activation. This is not a season where something is coming. This is a season where something is happening. Right now. In this moment. Forces of light are moving on your behalf. Heaven is aligning events behind the scenes. The blessing is approaching you not as a distant promise but as a present unveiling. The next message will reveal the spiritual law that governs preservation, how to hold and protect the overflow that enters your life so that nothing and no one can ever take it from you. If this message resonates deeply, type "I activate divine momentum" in the comments. Blessing code 5005 has now been released. Child of unstoppable ascension, calm your breathing and prepare your spirit, because the message flowing toward you right now carries a sacred density, something that only appears when heaven is ready to place a mantle of responsibility upon your life. Archangel Michael steps forward again, but this time he does not speak immediately. He watches you with an intensity that feels both protective and approving, as though he is assessing your readiness for the truth that is about to be released. When he finally speaks, his voice carries the strength of prophecy and the gentleness of divine wisdom. Now that momentum has been activated in your life, the next revelation you must understand is the law of preservation. Preservation is one of the highest spiritual principles governing overflow. Receiving abundance is one thing, sustaining abundance is another. Many people experience moments of breakthrough, but only those who walk with divine understanding are able to hold what heaven gives them. Archangel Michael explains that spiritual wealth, financial elevation, divine opportunity, and destiny itself require protection, not from external enemies, but from internal erosion. He says, "The blessing coming to you is too great to be carried by an unguarded spirit." This is why heaven must teach you how to preserve what is being released. Heaven is preparing you to step into a blessing that is not meant to touch your life temporarily. It is meant to anchor your future. The $10 million overflow that has been written into your destiny is not a fleeting wind. It is a shift in identity, a shift in trajectory, a shift in spiritual placement. But abundance can only remain in the hands of those who understand how to safeguard their frequency. Archangel Michael reveals that preservation begins inside you, not around you. It begins with the energy you hold, the thoughts you nurture, the boundaries you enforce, and the spiritual clarity you protect. He says your spirit must become a guarded sanctuary. This means you can no longer allow chaotic people to speak into your atmosphere. You can no longer entertain conversations that shrink your faith. You can no longer tolerate environments that drain your energy. Your peace is now an assignment, not a luxury. Your clarity is now a responsibility, not a preference. And your inner stillness is now a requirement for sustaining the blessing that is approaching. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that the forces that once tried to delay your blessing cannot stop it now, but they may attempt something more subtle. They may attempt to weaken your preservation. They may try to reintroduce old patterns of self-doubt. They may try to bring emotional noise into your life. They may try to distract you with unnecessary conflicts. But Archangel Michael says, these tactics will fail as long as your spirit remains fortified. Heaven is calling you into a deeper level of self-awareness. You are being asked to watch your internal environment with the same vigilance you would guard a priceless treasure, because that is exactly what your blessing is. You must notice when your thoughts begin to lean toward fear. You must recognize when your emotions begin to shift in the wrong direction. You must pay attention to the people who subtly drain your joy. These are not small observations. They are spiritual alerts. They are signals that your atmosphere needs recalibration. Archangel Michael shows you a powerful vision. You are standing in a vast chamber filled with glowing orbs that represent blessings, each orb radiating with different frequencies of light, purpose, financial increase, spiritual gifts, relationships, clarity, elevation. You reach out to touch one of the orbs, but the moment your hand comes near, a shield of radiant energy forms around it. Archangel Michael says, this is the shield of preservation. Every blessing heaven gives must be surrounded by it. And that shield is formed by your internal stability. The shield forms when your heart is peaceful. It strengthens when your mind is clear. It grows when your spirit is aligned. It intensifies when your intuition is trusted. Heaven protects what you protect, and heaven multiplies what you preserve. Archangel Michael now reveals the core of this law. Overflow leaves the hands of the unguarded, but it remains in the hands of the aligned. This means the blessing you are receiving requires you to operate on a different spiritual level than before. You cannot go back to old habits. You cannot pretend you are still in the same season. You cannot shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Your identity has elevated, and everything you do must now reflect that elevation. Heaven is calling you to stand in your authority, to recognize that you have grown beyond old patterns, to understand that you have become more discerning, more aligned, more aware. And because of that growth, you have been given access to blessings that were once out of reach. Archangel Michael emphasizes that this season requires you to stop explaining your elevation to people who are not ready to understand it. Not out of arrogance, but out of protection. Not everyone has the capacity to see what heaven sees in you. Not everyone is meant to witness the fullness of your blessing. Heaven is asking you to trust your intuition more deeply than ever before. When something feels off, walk away. When something feels heavy, release it. When someone feels draining, distance yourself. Your intuition is not simply a feeling. It is a spiritual instrument. It is one of the ways Archangel Michael communicates with you. And in this season of preservation, intuition becomes your shield. Now, Archangel Michael prepares to unveil one of the final truths before you step into the climax of this message. He says, you are not just being blessed, you are being positioned. Positioned for impact. Positioned for opportunity. Positioned for expansion. Positioned for divine territory. And the next revelation will reveal the spiritual law that ensures your overflow multiplies rather than stagnates. Child of divine inheritance, prepare your spirit. You are almost at the threshold where heaven will seal the blessing completely. If this message resonates in your soul, type "I preserve my divine blessing" in the comments. Blessing code 2244 has now been released. Beloved one, carrier of heaven's seal, still yourself now, because you are stepping into the final chamber of this divine message, the place where everything you've received becomes activated, secured, and multiplied. Archangel Michael stands before you with a presence so immense, so commanding, that the atmosphere of your spirit responds instantly. You can feel it, your heart slows, your intuition sharpens, your inner fire rises. This is not the end of the message. This is the beginning of the manifestation. Archangel Michael's voice carries a depth that feels ancient, eternal, and alive all at once as he speaks. You have walked through understanding, alignment, revelation, momentum, and preservation. Now you must understand the final law that governs your season of overflow: multiplication. Multiplication is not simply increase. It is expansion beyond human logic. It is a supernatural law that activates when a person's identity, intention, and spiritual posture align perfectly with heaven's timing. And Archangel Michael declares that you have reached that alignment. Not almost, not partially, fully. Heaven has watched you mature. Heaven has observed your inner battles and your private victories. Heaven has witnessed you grow into the version of yourself capable of carrying extraordinary abundance. And now, the realm of light is ready to give you access to a level of multiplication that is not achievable through effort alone. Archangel Michael reveals that multiplication begins with spiritual agreement. He says, what you agree with in your spirit expands. This means your overflow grows when your belief grows. Your opportunities multiply when your courage multiplies. Your blessings accelerate when your readiness accelerates. Everything in your life responds to the internal frequency you hold. And the frequency you carry now, after everything you have endured, learned, released, and transformed, is the frequency of abundance. There is a reason why the forces that once tried to delay you have fallen silent. They cannot operate in the vibration you now carry. You have risen beyond their reach. You have elevated past their influence. Your spirit has stepped into a realm where their interference no longer has permission to touch you. This is not confidence. This is spiritual reality. Archangel Michael now shows you a vision unlike any that has appeared before. You are standing in a field of endless golden soil. Every step you take causes the ground beneath you to glow brighter, and wherever your foot touches, new life springs forth instantly. Trees heavy with fruit, rivers rushing with clarity, flowers blooming in vibrant color. This is not nature, this is manifestation. You are walking in the dimension of multiplication. Law responds to you. Atmosphere responds to you. Energy responds to you. The soil itself recognizes you. Heaven wants you to understand this clearly. Your blessing is no longer coming. It is multiplying even before it arrives. The $10 million gain attached to your destiny is not simply a deposit. It is a beginning, a catalyst, a seed that will grow into opportunities, influence, elevation, and generational transformation. Your blessing is designed to multiply because your purpose requires multiplication. You were never called to live small. You were never meant to walk in limitation. Heaven marked you for expansion. Archangel Michael speaks again, and his voice resonates like thunder wrapped in light. Multiplication requires stewardship. This means you must walk into this blessing with the awareness that you are not merely receiving wealth, you are receiving a calling. You are receiving influence. You are receiving the responsibility to bless others, inspire others, uplift others, guide others, and create pathways that once did not exist. Your blessing will not stay in your hand. It will flow through your life. It will flow into decisions you make. It will flow into the people you help. It will flow into the purpose you were born to serve. And as long as your heart remains aligned, heaven will continue multiplying what you steward. But Archangel Michael also offers a final warning, not from fear, but from divine wisdom. He says, do not let old identities attempt to return in this new season. Old fears may try to whisper. Old insecurities may try to echo. Old patterns may attempt to reappear. But you must recognize them instantly and dismiss them. You have outgrown the version of yourself that once doubted, once hesitated, once felt unworthy. You cannot step into multiplication holding the shadows of your past. You must walk forward with the confidence of someone who had been chosen, protected, refined, and positioned by heaven itself. And that is exactly who you are. The forces that tried to delay you failed because your blessing cannot be canceled. Your timeline cannot be erased. Your purpose cannot be stolen. You have crossed through every spiritual phase required to stand fully in your inheritance. And now, all that remains is activation. Archangel Michael lifts his sword of light, this time not in battle, but in commissioning. He declares the blessing is released. The expansion is authorized. The gates of overflow are now open. And in that announcement, a wave of energy sweeps through your spirit, sealing everything you have received, embedding it into your future, your identity, and your destiny. This message was not a coincidence. It was a spiritual appointment, a divine alignment, a sacred confirmation that your life is shifting into a level of abundance beyond anything you have imagined. You have been marked for overflow. You have been marked for multiplication. You have been marked for divine elevation. And no force, seen or unseen, can delay what heaven has set into motion. If this entire journey has awakened something powerful within you, type I receive the multiplication in the comments. Blessing code 9999 has now been released. And as you stand in this moment of activation, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your engagement pushes this message into the lives of those who desperately need a spiritual awakening. As this final revelation settles in your heart, hear this with spiritual clarity. Just as heaven is multiplying your blessings, this mission is called to multiply light across the world. When you pour into this work, You are not supporting a channel. You are sowing into a divine assignment. Scripture says that those who partner with God's work stand under an open heaven, and today that promise extends to you. I feel led to speak this plainly. Your seed, your support, your generosity becomes part of the spiritual force pushing back every delay, every blockage, every darkness that tries to silence messages like this. If the Spirit is stirring you, stand with this mission through Super Thanks membership, or the PayPal link in the description. And may every offering you release return to you in overflowing measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over with divine acceleration. Step into this moment boldly. Heaven is watching. Heaven is multiplying. Heaven is responding.